greetings and salutations. Welcome to Renee Box Young. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, showing your support, tuning into lives, commenting in the comment sections of the videos. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you are doing great. I hope you are doing well. We are one community, one love to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Subscribers since day one, recent subscribers showing so much support. I really appreciate you. Each and every one of you show the support, and I'm just having a ball, going to lives, and just chatting away with you in the chat section, in the live chat, the people who tune in, man, you guys are awesome, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to get right into this, okay? And just in case anybody doesn't know, if there are any new viewers and listeners, Renee Box Young is simply a platform where we discuss, critique, analyze, and just talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed fashion. Take the hate somewhere else. You know how we do it here. So I want to get right to this, man. This is interesting stuff. And I agree with Lomachenko. It's kind of funny, too. It's kind of comical what he says. Let's get right to it in Twitter. Lomachenko's official profile, yada, yada, yada. Link in the description. You already know. Okay, so here he says he's tagging Devin Haney, man. He says, "I'm here. I'm waiting for you cowards to decide on a real fight." Oh my gosh, man, he's going off, dude. And he says, "and not on a Twitter fight." Oh my gosh. So the reason why I'm laughing about this is because Lomachenko wants to fight, you know what I mean? And I think that's great, okay? I think that's great. And I definitely disagree with Lomachenko in the sense that Devin Haney's not a coward, okay? I don't think he's a coward. Devin Haney, he's the one who's pushing and chasing these fighters down. I mean, he wants the fights. He's been chasing these guys down. Teofimo has been chasing, him down. He wants Ryan Garcia. He wants Tank Davis. I mean, he wants to fight these guys. But what I do agree with, concerning, Lomachenko's statement here, and not on a Twitter fight, I do agree with that. Like, that's the thing. It seems like Lomachenko, man, he just wants to fight. He's not one of those Twitter guys. He's not one of those social media guys who go back and forth all day, every day, you know what I'm saying? Months go by, and then people are just, the fighters are just confusing the fans, and Lomachenko doesn't really do that. And that's what I dig about him. I really appreciate and I respect that from Lomachenko, man. Months ago, I posted a video on how Lomachenko wants to fight Tank Davis, talking about coming back from, his loss from Teofimo. And his team saying that they want Tank Davis, I highly doubt that's going to happen. I've been saying it, I don't think Tank Davis and his team want to choose Lomachenko to fight right now, as far as the point that Tank Davis is in his career right now. And I'm not justifying that, though, because Leonard Ellerby is going around saying they want to make Tank Davis a star, but they haven't really talked about Tank Davis fighting for legacy. That's the fishy thing I have with Tank Davis and his team. Obviously money talks, you know what I mean? But it seems like, Tank Davis with his team, they want to make him a star more than just fight for legacy. You see what I'm saying? More than fighting for legacy. So I think it looks like that. Looks like they're steering Tank Davis in that direction. Why am I saying this? Because I don't think Lomachenko and Tank Davis is going to happen anytime soon at all, okay? At all. I mean, we can forget that. I think Lomachenko versus, Haney would be awesome. This would be an awesome fight. And I totally agree with, getting back to that, I totally agree with Lomachenko in saying that, and not on a Twitter fight, because we're seeing too much of this nonsense on Twitter. And just social media in general, Instagram, whatever you want to call it, whatever social media platforms are out there. You know what I'm saying? It's too much nonsense in the sport of boxing concerning that, with certain fighters. I'm not saying all the fighters. You know what I'm saying? There are some fighters who just tweet away a little bit too much. Those little Twitter fingers, just going on the social media all the time, saying how they feel. I woke up this morning and I feel bad. I woke up this morning and screw everyone. And I woke up this morning and everything's great. And I woke up, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's just a bunch of nonsense. We don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I don't, at least. I don't really want to get into much in fighters' personal lives. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent, I understand, and it's interesting. Some fighters have really interesting personal lives, and it's great. Only if they open up. You know what I'm saying? Only if they want to, if they're not like, living that crazy life, I can care less about it. You know what I'm saying? Emotional fighters are going up and down like roller coasters, and they post it up on Instagram and Twitter on how they feel all the time. I'm not into that. But I am into like fighters who are more serious, you know what I'm saying? Getting to know them, and their personal lives and how they talk. And I'm more interested in that side when it comes to fighters. But when it comes to this whole Twitter stuff and, social media stuff, for example, like Ryan Garcia, man, I mean, it's like, I could care less now, man. I mean, I've had it since a long time ago with Ryan Garcia and all this social media nonsense. Too much nonsense. Posting these posters, whatever you want to call them, graphics of him fighting Pacquiao, and then he wants to, and then facing off with Jake Paul, and then, calling out Tank Davis, and then going on Instagram or whatever the heck, TikTok, whatever you want to call these platforms nowadays, saying he'll knock him out in 2, and I promise you this, I'm going to do this to him, and then he doesn't do it, and then he doesn't fight Pacquiao, and then it's just here, there, everywhere, all around. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of nonsense. And it makes Ryan Garcia look worse. And just fighters in general. Same with Bud Crawford. He's been going back a lot on Twitter since years ago. I made a video about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just nonsense, man. These fighters, man, sometimes just go a little bit too much on social media, recording themselves, saying hundreds of things, and they're not doing a small percentage of what they're saying. Okay, and that's where I agree with Lomachenko on this, man. I don't agree. I reiterate, man. I'm not agreeing with Lomachenko and that Haney is not a coward. I don't think Haney's a coward, right? I reiterate, Haney is the one who's chasing these fighters down. But I do agree with Lomachenko saying that, and not on a Twitter fight. I get Lomachenko's point on that, and I respect it, and I agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Lomachenko's saying, I'm not about this Twitter stuff. I'm not about this whole social media. Let's fight, and I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me show you something here, okay? I want to show you something as far as here, go on box.live, link in the description, whatever, right? Okay, so 135, you already know the names, right? But what I want to get at is like the rankings. You got Devin Haney as WBC champ, whatever that foolish interim stuff. I can care less about the interim, diamond, gold, whatever cardboard championship belts they got out there, Meritus, a bunch of nonsense, franchise, who cares? This shouldn't even be here, whatever. I'm tired of these belts. I'm tired of super regular, this bunch of nonsense with belts, and the majority of the time. You already know my stance on belts. But I gotta respect this, with Devin Haney being WBC champ. That's respect right there. And, this foolish franchise and interim shouldn't even be on the rankings. Shouldn't even be in the rankings. But whatever, I'm kind of digressing there. But we got to respect that Devin Haney has a WBC belt there, okay? So it's interesting to see, okay, why am I saying this? Because it's interesting to see that here Lomachenko is ranked 1 as far as contender, whatever you want to call it, okay? Mandatory, I don't know what the heck. I can care less with the titles they put on this. For example, like they recently came out and said, concerning Pacquiao, right? Yeah, he's a champion on recess. What the heck does that mean? They try to use these nice fluffy words and they just don't get to the point and say what it is. They stripped Manny Pacquiao from the belt, WBA belt, whatever belt it was, and handed it over to Ugas. I mean, it is what it is. They stripped him because he didn't want to defend it. That's what it is. It's just a bunch of nonsense when they put these little titles on there and trying to make it look nice and fluffy. I'm sorry, man, if you guys see me on a rant. But it is what it is. I'm just expressing myself, okay? Anyway, so we get back to here. So he's number 1 here. Call him contender, call him mandatory, call him whatever the heck you want to call him. He's number 1 there. Okay, so that would be amazing. Why am I saying this? Because Lomachenko versus Devin Haney, come on, bring it on. That would be awesome, ladies and gentlemen. That would be an awesome fight, man. You see what I'm saying? Lomachenko here is WBO ranked 2nd. Okay, and you got him ranked 5 in my BF. Wow, way down there, below Selby even. Selby fought Kambosos, if I'm not mistaken. That was a nice fight right there, you know what I mean? Kambosos needs to work more on his defense, definitely. That was just a war, toe-to-toe fight, but Vasyl Lomachenko's below Selby. That's interesting anyways. But so you have Vasyl Lomachenko here, number 2 in WBA. So you see what I'm saying? So he's up there in the rankings. That's what I'm trying to say here. I mean, and he's a worthy opponent. You already know the story with Lomachenko, man. He's a worthy opponent. And I'm not sitting here, you already know me. I don't buy the hype with these, again, with the titles, with this whole, you know what I mean? With this whole Matrix and future, high tech. I don't care what they call them. I don't care. I don't buy the hype. I posted a video some time ago calling, and it's called "Don't Believe the Hype." It's just a bunch of hype, and that applies to all contexts with these fighters. If these fighters aren't proving it, you know what I'm saying, and the proof is in the pudding there, they're showing it, and they're talking less and really doing it. I don't buy the hype. I can care less about how many times these promoters and promotional companies come out and put posts, foolish posts where the majority of the time it's not even going to happen. Who do you think would win between so and so and yada yada yada? And is he the best of all time? And I don't buy that, man. I don't buy it because the proof is in the pudding, man. You see what I'm saying? I don't buy the hype, and I can care less what they call Lomachenko. But why am I saying this? Because I do recognize Lomachenko's skills. He's a skillful fighter, man. You already know the story. He's a skillful fighter. So Lomachenko versus Devin Haney, if you want to get to the rankings, you know what I'm saying? If we want to get to the rankings and break it down, that would be best for Devin Haney, in my humble opinion. A lot of people ranting and raving about Jorge Linares. He's third here, ladies and gentlemen. And if I'm not mistaken, that was rumored. Excuse me. If not mistaken, that was rumored for Devin Haney's next fight or whatever. Pictures posted up in there, whatever the heck, right? I think that would be great, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that's just my humble opinion. I'm just bringing this out to give my humble opinion concerning Lomachenko's tweet that he tweeted, or whatever you want to call it, right? The comment he posted in Twitter. And, you know what I mean? I think this would be great. Lomachenko versus Devin Haney. That fight should happen next for Devin Haney, okay? And a lot of this talk about Javier Fortuna being Devin Haney's mandatory, why the heck? You see, that's another thing I don't understand here, ladies and gentlemen. Mauricio Suleiman, whatever his name is, right? With all due respect, man, dude, this guy with WBC head and CEO, whatever the heck he is, man, he's confusing things because he, if I'm not mistaken, he came out, or whatever, WBC comes out saying that Javier Fortuna is the mandatory for Devin Haney. How the heck is Fortuna the mandatory for Devin Haney when Lomachenko is number one here? You see, I don't understand this nonsense, man. I don't understand this nonsense, and I'm tired of it. Foolish politics, confusing everything, and this foolish franchise championship stuff is not making it any better. And then, this whole talk with people posting up or whatever pictures of Devin Haney and Jorge Linares. Why? Lomachenko should be the one who should fight him. That's just my humble opinion. I'm just giving my humble opinion, that's all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just giving my humble opinion. This would be an amazing matchup, ladies and gentlemen. What do you guys think about it? Just look at the rankings. And like I said, I don't really lean on too much the rankings, but to a certain extent I do, okay? To a certain extent I respect it, but not all the way, okay? For example, I don't respect it in this whole thing as far as the rankings where Javier Fortuna, last I heard at least, they're changing it. They're changing the story every other week, man. Every other day they're changing the story with this whole ranking stuff. Last I heard, Fortuna was the mandatory for Haney or Ryan Garcia or whatever the heck. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Garcia is also. But we know that's not going to happen. Why am I ignoring Ryan Garcia in this as far as possible opponents for Devin Haney? Who should be the next opponent for Devin Haney? Because Ryan Garcia is all over the place. Who cares now about that guy, that kid? With all due respect, I say it. Why do I say it with respect? Because he's a fighter, Ryan Garcia. I respect him as a fighter, man. He fights. He gets in the ring and fights. I mean, I respect that, man. I applaud him, and I've done it before. You already know my platform, okay? If anybody's new here listening and say, oh, you're a Ryan Garcia hater, you don't have to listen to me, man. I've said it time and time again with my videos. You don't know my story. You don't know my platform. That's what I'm trying to say. The story with my platform and how I represent things. My approach. So, you see what I'm saying? So, I can care less about Ryan Garcia right now fighting Devin Haney because most likely it's not even gonna happen because Ryan Garcia is all over the place on social media. He's not walking the walk. He's not walking the walk with Tank Davis. He's not walking the walk with Manny Pacquiao. He's not walking the walk with Devin Haney, I'm sure. He's just all over the place with his mouth, man. And I understand. I mean, but it's just nonsense, man, with what Ryan Garcia is doing so far with his career in social media. Or whatever, in his career in social media. It seems like, Ryan Garcia is just more known for his social media than as a boxer. It's sad, but it's true. I would like, and as most of the boxing community agrees to, I would love to see Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. But it is what it is, okay? So the next best thing, in my humble opinion, is Lomachenko versus Devin Haney. This would be awesome. This would be awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Loma wants it, okay? And why am I saying this? Why am I saying Loma wants it? Because, in my humble opinion, Loma's not the guy to go back and forth on social media. He's not that type of person. Maybe he's done it time and time again. Or maybe he's done it, here or there, you know, I don't know. But he doesn't do it nearly as much as all these other fighters that are doing it. I'm not saying all fighters are doing it. I reiterate, like I said earlier in this video, I'm not saying all fighters do it. But there's a select few of these fighters that come out and just doing it too much. Lomachenko is not the type, when he says something, I think he means it. That's what I'm trying to say here. Now, I'm 100 with all fighters. You already know it. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, I frowned upon, and I even made a video about it, about him crying and complaining of losing to Teofimo. I think that was horrible. Okay? I think that was horrible, and I didn't buy those excuses. But that's a different context. Why is it a different context? Because it was in the context of him losing and whining and pouting of losing, because he's a winner. He wants to win. But I'm not justifying him crying and whining and pouting about it. You see, I'm 100 with all these fighters, man. You see what I'm saying? But in this case, I think he really does want to fight Haney. Okay? I think he really does want to fight Tank Davis. As I made a video months ago about that. I think he really wants to fight these guys. Okay? Now the question is this, ladies and gentlemen. Will Devin Haney take it? You see? Maybe he's going to go for one of the mandatories. I get it. That's cool. But I prefer this. That's just my humble opinion. And when you go back, I reiterate one more time, please. I have to reiterate things a lot just to make things clear in what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? You go back to the rankings. I just showed you it, okay? Lomachenko is 1 in that list, ladies and gentlemen. He's 1. Number 1. Contender, mandatory, whatever the heck they want to call it. Number 1 contender here should be the mandatory. If it's not, I think it's foolish, but whatever. It is what it is, okay? I don't get into that. It's just a bunch of nonsense and confusion with these rankings sometimes. You see? So he's number 1 there. He should be the mandatory for Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia, we know the story. I already explained why. You see? Now, I repeat, we all want to see Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. But the way Ryan Garcia is making his moves, bunch of nonsense, man. I love the kid, but in this aspect, it's just foolish, man. You don't do that. When you're a fighter, you don't do that. And I get it. Oh, it's for marketing. There's a limit to this stuff when it comes to marketing. If you're not gonna back up what you say, just shush. Just stop it. Just stop it. It's just because it turns into a foolish soap opera. You see what I'm saying? That's why, ladies and gentlemen, people are coming out and saying boxing is turning into like a WWE, for crying out loud. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad, ladies and gentlemen? People are starting to say that stuff. And it's sad because I love the sport of boxing. And people are coming out and saying now boxing is turning into a big soap opera, a big WWE. Everything's staged now. Isn't that sad? Because you got people like Ryan Garcia doing what they're doing. You got fighters coming out and saying how they feel every day now. You got fighters coming out and saying, oh my gosh, you know, all these haters, and just do what you got to do, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? I understand Twitter, I understand social media, use it, but don't use it to your detriment. Don't use it to make yourself look bad. Don't use it to make yourself look like a crybaby and you're up and down every day. Use it to your advantage as a fighter. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? If you're gonna call someone out on social media, do it. Back up your words. You see, fighters got to be held accountable nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. Just as each and every one of us should be held accountable in our lives, in our professional lives, in any aspect and arena of our lives. That's what adults do. My gosh, ladies and gentlemen, my gosh. So let me repeat this, that Lomachenko, I think he's about it when he's saying this, that he wants to fight. And ladies and gentlemen, to a certain extent, let's get back to that. I understand why Lomachenko is saying this now. He's calling these fighters cowards, and he says plural, not just Haney. I don't think Haney's a coward, but I understand Loma's viewpoint. Okay, cowards, plural. Twitter fight. He's referring to all these fighters. You see, he's referring to these fighters who are going on social media, tweeting away, however the heck you want to say it, term it, and they're not fighting. He's calling them cowards. He's not just saying it to Devin Haney, ladies and gentlemen. And to a certain extent, I think I agree with Lomachenko, but not with Haney, because I think he really wants to fight these guys. But the stupid politics is avoiding it. And you already know the story there. You already know the story there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? He's saying it to a lot of these fighters, ladies and gentlemen, who are out there on social media all the time. He's calling them cowards. Two, when it comes to Twitter fights, he's pluralizing it in the context of this tweet. You know, it's about reading comprehension, reading the context of what somebody's saying. A lot of people don't even know how to read well. You see what I'm saying? So, to a certain extent, ladies and gentlemen, I agree with Loma in some things here. That a lot of these fighters, in the context of this, that a lot of these fighters, man, who are just on social media so much and they're not backing up what they're saying, he's calling them cowards, man. Because they're not fighting. They're not fighting the guys they're calling out. And I think Ryan Garcia is one of those kids. You know? However, he can shut me up if Ryan goes and fights Devin Haney. Definitely, man. Definitely. Ryan Garcia can shut me up and a lot of us up if he goes out and fights Tank this year. Ryan Garcia can shut me up and a lot of us up if he goes out and even fights Lomachenko. If he goes out and fights Teofimo. But it ain't going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Most likely it's not going to happen. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? You know? And getting back to what I'm saying. Lomachenko versus Devin Haney would be awesome. I would love it. You know? But it's possible, man. It's possible Devin Haney is going to go for the route of the mandatory, quote unquote, for Fortuna or for Linares. I think it should be best to, man, go for Lomachenko. Go for Lomachenko, man. This would be great. Why? Listen, if you want to talk about it, the business of it, if you want to go to the business part of it, Lomachenko carries a name in Top Rank. They would really market this. They would really market this fight, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go to the business side of it, which I can care less about and really don't talk too much about, but it is what it is. It's part of the sport. Okay, if you want to get to the numbers of it, Lomachenko, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, they've hyped this guy up so much in Top Rank. You already know the story. I don't have to get into it too much. But when you want to talk about numbers, you know, to a certain extent at least, I'm not saying he's a big superstar. Of course not, Lomachenko. I mean, I'm not saying he's a big... You know, don't get what I'm saying twisted. I'm not saying he's a Mayweather, of course not. But when it comes to Top Rank, they would love to. You know, they would market this guy pretty well, especially with him fighting Devin Haney. That would be a great fight, man. Great marketing, great promotion, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? I think this would be great. It's a perfect fight for Devin Haney. But we'll see if it even happens, man. So, you know, I want to make this video because I think Lomachenko really does want to fight this guy. He really wants to fight Tank. Sad that these guys don't want to fight. I don't know. I'm not saying, let me go back, okay? Let me backtrack. I'm not saying Devin Haney doesn't want to fight him. Tank Davis, I'm almost positive. I don't see him fighting Lomachenko, and I explained why earlier. Sad, man. But I think Devin Haney should go for this, man. But we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? You already know I love Haney. He wants all the smoke. I just made a video about that, man. Like I said, guys, people who misinterpret what I'm saying, go back, check my platform out. You don't really know what I'm about if you misinterpret what I'm saying. Devin Haney wants all the smoke. This is perfect for him, man. This is a perfect fight for him. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, man. Hopefully they fight sooner or later. We'll see what happens. Sooner. Better sooner than later, as a matter of fact. But Renee Boxell, man, go ahead and comment in the comment sections. What do you guys think about this, man? Please comment. I want to hear what you guys want to say. You know, what you guys got to say. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Renee Boxell, man. Stay safe out there. Peace out, fam.